Instead of stuffing your face like you've probably grown up doing with lots and lots of carbohydrates, from the bagels to the toast, to the cereals, to the cookies, to the crackers, to the chips, to the brownies, to the nachos, to the pizzas, you name it, guys. All this stuff is gorging our body with carbs, and it's not doing our metabolic health any favors. Welcome to another episode of the Energetically Efficient Show. I am your host, Kristin Rowell, and I'm so happy to have you here with us today on video, or if you're just listening, that's great too. Today, we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite topics on planet Earth, because it truly is where I shine as an expert, and that is how you can lose body fat and gain lean muscle tissue at the same time. One of my favorite myths out there in the health world is that in order for you to gain muscle, you have to gain some fat with it. In order for you to lose weight, you have to lose some muscle with it. Neither things are true. And I have proved this over and over and over with the hundreds of clients that I have served since I started my energetically efficient business in 2019. My proprietary formula, my method, allows you to both lose body fat and gain lean muscle tissue at the same time, making it the most efficient way for you to overhaul your metabolic health. I'm so excited to get into this with you today that we're just going to get started. Okay, so the thing that I want to set the stage for as we talk about losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time is that, as you can imagine, two primary buckets are required in order to do this. In the losing fat category, we're going to have to make sure that your nutrition is dialed in appropriately. And we'll talk all about that, of course. And then in the gaining muscle category, yes, your nutrition matters significantly to this category, but equally, if not more important in the gaining muscle category is that we have to be creating a stimulus to the muscle. In other words, we have to be engaged in strength training in order to gain muscle while we are losing body fat. And there's nothing that's going to improve your body composition faster than if you can lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. So it's no secret that I am the CEO and founder of Energetically Efficient. That's why I created this show. That is primarily what I do for a living. But the other aspect of my life is that I am one of two owners. I am a co-owner of the strength training personal boutique franchise business, Discover Strength, Nashville. So my business partner and I purchased the Nashville franchise, the Nashville territory for Discover Strength, and we are opening a number of Discover Strength personal strength training studios over the next several years. And the reason that I decided to do that is because I have personally been strength training with Discover Strength since November of 2007. I'm one of the original clients. I call myself one of the OGs. And I was so hooked on the workout after the first time I did it, for a variety of reasons that I'll tell you about today, that I have referred hundreds of people at this point, if not thousands, going on how many clients I've referred there since 2007. I believe so much in this business, the model, and the science behind what we do at Discover Strength that I decided to become an investor in the business. So it's not going to be any secret when I tell you today that one of the tips I have for you is going to be starting a strength training program. And of course, I'm going to recommend that you do that at Discover Strength. If you don't live in the Nashville area, that's okay, because we have locations all around the country. So Discover Strength was started in the Twin Cities of Minnesota in 2006. It had one location at that time in Plymouth, Minnesota. In 2012, it added two additional locations, one in downtown Minneapolis and one in Chanhassen. And from there, it just grew and grew, where I should have counted the number before I started this episode, but I want to say there's probably like 15 or so, if not close to 20 studio locations now in the Twin Cities area. And of course, it's growing around the country. As of the time of the recording of this episode, Discover Strength locations, in addition to Minnesota, has locations in Salt Lake City, Utah, several locations in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Gilbert, Arizona areas, several locations in the Dallas, Plano, Frisco areas. It also has area in one location so far in Chicago. It's coming to Washington, D.C. It's coming to Wellesley, Massachusetts. It's coming to several locations in New Jersey. There's a location in Sandy Springs, Georgia. There is going to be additional locations. Of course, we're going to be building them all over Nashville. Oh, there's also Madison, Wisconsin and Hudson, Wisconsin, which I forgot about. And I apologize if there's other locations I'm forgetting about. Oh, Colorado. There's Boulder, Colorado. There is Lone Tree and there is Parker. So if you have a Discover Strength location in your area, I very much recommend that you go there and do a free introductory workout. You can tell them that you heard about it on this podcast. Trust me, I get nothing in return for that other than me knowing that you're supporting your metabolic health by going to a Discover Strength location near you. And if you want to find out specifically where those studios are located, you can go to discoverstrength.com and you can click on studios and it will give you a list of every single location all around the United States. Okay. So as we get into this topic of how we lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time, I want to focus on the losing body fat aspect first. So if you've listened to any of my other episodes, you know that I've shared with you about how it is that we get fat in the first place. And that's really interesting to listen to so that you can understand what not to do if you don't want to gain a lot of weight. But once we've gained weight and we really want to lose body fat, that's a little bit of a different story. Certainly, they're just different sides of the same coin, but I did think it was important to spend a little bit of time talking about how we're going to lose fat on our body. Now, this I would say is to some people somewhat of a controversial statement. I know that it's not because I have evidence gained over the 6 years that I've been in business about the fact that my method works. It works consistently. It works for all genders. It works for all ages. It works for people of a variety of different backgrounds. And it works for people whether they have 10 pounds to lose or 100 plus. And what I'm about to tell you probably won't come as a surprise to you, but that is one of the primary things that you must do if you want to lose fat off of your body is you have to stop consuming so many carbohydrates. It's just a fact. And I apologize that that's the way the world works, but it is. And the reason I say that is because especially if you want to move about your day efficiently and if you want to live long and age well, generalized carbohydrate reduction, especially from that which has been recommended in the standard Western American diet or the standard American diet, often referred to as the SAD diet, because it is very sad. You're going to have to reduce carbohydrates in order to get some of that fat off your body and reverse the insulin resistance that has been created. Okay, so that's sort of a generalized principle that I just want you to think about. The other thing that I want you to do, and this is what I do with all of my clients, is I want you to focus on in every single meal that you consume. And I do recommend when you start that you eat 4 different meals throughout the day. So my general recommendation when clients hire me and I start to create customized meal plans for them that address their bio-individuality is I'm generally, depending on the client, asking them to eat around the times of 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and about 6 p.m. And then we'll usually have some sort of a treat after dinner. So 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. And the thing that I would want you to focus on in each of those meals is that you consume at least 30 grams of protein. Why 30 grams of protein? This is because of some research that was done in terms of how, and this has been around for years. I didn't come up with this. This has been around long before I went back to school for nutrition, is that we know in order to stimulate muscle protein synthesis in your body, okay, and muscle protein synthesis, just to be clear, is a process by which your brain tells your muscles, oh, okay, you actually want to build that bicep. You want to make the bicep bigger. You want to build that quadricep. You want to build that calf. You want to create those abdominal muscles. You want to actually strengthen the low back. You want to build the gluteus maximus, medius, minimus, etc. It's the signal that your brain is saying to your muscle tissue, I want you to build muscle, build muscle, build muscle, build muscle. And in order for that neurological process to take place, when you are in one sitting, you have to consume at least 30 grams of protein. And in a perfect world, it would be the most bioavailable protein, which just factually is animal protein. Animal is more bioavailable than plant protein. And so it's going to give you the quickest bang for your buck in terms of losing body fat and putting on lean muscle tissue. Now, I'm going to give you a little example of this because This would be an extreme example of how consuming at least 30 grams of protein in each sitting is a powerhouse way to burn off body fat and gain lean muscle tissue. And I'm going to take you back to my very first bodybuilding show. Some of you may know I became a professional bodybuilder in 2018, but in 2017, when I was stepping on the stage for the first time, and I was very much in the middle of lawyering, I hired a woman who did my nutrition. That was a separate woman from my posing coach. I had hired coaches for both aspects. And because I knew nothing about how to prep my body for a bodybuilding competition in terms of nutrition, I hired a woman to create some customized meal plans for me so that I could get ready for that show and get as lean as possible before I stepped on stage in that figure bikini. And what was interesting to me is when she prepared these meal plans for me, I was like, oh my God, I have to eat how many times a day? Now, keep in mind, I was very, very busy as a lawyer with my law practice at the time, and I had to eat 6 times per day. Okay. 6 meals per day. I had to eat first thing in the morning. I had to eat about 2.5, 3 hours later. I had to eat about 2.5 to 3 hours after that, 2.5 to 3 hours after that, 2.5 to 3 hours after that, and again, 2.5 to 3 hours after that. So on an average day, I was eating somewhere between 7 and 8 in the morning, and I was ending between 7 and 8, or sometimes even 8 at 9 at night, depending on my schedule. So I was eating a lot. But the reason that I was doing that is because I was consuming 30 to 32 or 33 grams of protein in each sitting. Let's round up and say 30 to 35. And I don't have my phone because I would do the math for you. Actually, I do have my computer in front of me. So let me just look quick on a calculator because I want to tell you exactly how I did this because I think it's so interesting. And I've obviously helped other clients get ready for bodybuilding shows since that time because of my own personal experience. Okay. So on average, I was having 3 grams of protein in each meal because I was eating 200 grams of protein each day. Okay. So 200 divided by 6 is 3. So that's how many grams of protein I was eating in each meal. And why was I doing that? Again, going back to muscle protein synthesis, I needed to send the signal from my brain to my biceps, my brain to my quadriceps, my brain to my gluteus maximus, whatever muscle you want to talk about. I had to send the signal from my brain to those body parts, build muscle, build muscle, build muscle, build muscle. And I did that over and over and over again throughout the day. Now, for 6 weeks, I followed this meal plan. And what I did during that meal plan is I ate low carb for 6 days in a row. And then I had a 7th day that was pretty high carb. And then I ate low carb for 6 days in a row. And then again, I had a 7th day that was high carb. And I did that over and over and over for 6 weeks. And by the end of 6 weeks, because of course I took a bod pod before I did that experiment and I did a bod pod after, and in 6 weeks, I gained 7 pounds of lean muscle tissue and lost 5% body fat. And I was so happy about it and so proud of myself. I stepped on stage for that particular bodybuilding show at, I want to say 15.1% body fat. And the following year, when I prepped again and hired the same woman to coach me, and we made some modifications on the nutrition because I felt like the high carb day was way too high of carbs and I frankly didn't enjoy it. And I felt inflamed. I had to eat 300 grams of carbs that day and it was miserable. So we split it up into 2 different high carb days during the week where I only had 150 grams of carbs each day. And that was much more manageable for me. And for that show, I got down to 13% body fat. So I competed at 13% body fat, 14% body fat both times. And that was the year that I won my pro card and I felt great about it. So I'm telling you this story because I'm emphasizing the importance of having different meals throughout the day that allow our bodies to build muscle and burn body fat. If we aren't sending the signal from our brain to our body to build muscle many times throughout the day, we're not going to be doing it. So as much as I love intermittent fasting, and I talked about it in 2 different episodes here, and you'll get those episodes if you haven't listened to those already. As much as I love that, I also know I still need to eat periodically in order to build muscle. So I tell people, and I don't think I mentioned this in the intermittent fasting episode, so I'll say it here. I think if you're someone who wants to lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time, you need to eat a minimum of 3 times per day, but really ideally 4. And so that's a shorter fast. That's like a 13-hour fast. That's maybe a 14-hour fast. It's not a 20-hour fast. It's not even a 16-hour fast because there's not enough hours to be able to eat 4 different meals with them spaced out apart 2.5 to 3 hours so that you can stimulate muscle protein synthesis at different times throughout the day. So this is why I'm saying if you want to start this in the losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, you really want to think about 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and around 6 p.m. to start. Okay. That will give your body the opportunity to build muscle 4 different times throughout the day instead of just 3 if you eat at noon, 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. And so that's if you really want to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Forgive me, I'm just trying to get my legs adjusted here. Okay, there we go. So that's really important. We have to have at least 30 grams of protein at each meal, and we want to make sure we're eating enough times during the day. And then we also want to minimize the amount of carbohydrate we're consuming. But one of the things that I notice that people do when they say, okay, I'm going to eat low carb, is they do a lot of what people in my industry refer to as lazy keto, or even dirty keto. Those are some words that are bandied about there. And what I mean by that is that from my perspective, I do think that it is important for overall generalized health, especially because I'm an expert in nutritional detoxification. I think it's really important to make sure that we're getting adequate amounts of fiber. And I really, really like fiber for what it does for your gut health, for what it does for your satiety, for what it does for your digestion, for what it does for your brain health, and gut and brain are related. So it's really supporting the gut-brain axis. I like what it does to ward off cancers of all kinds. I like what it does for your colon. I really, really like fiber. And my favorite sources of fiber, in case you want to make a note about this, I'll share this with you here. My favorite sources of fiber are organic chia seeds. I love chia seed pudding. I share recipes about chia seed pudding all the time. I also love berries. Raspberries are I think raspberries, and I should probably double check this, but I'm pretty confident when I say raspberries are the highest fiber food for their caloric density that you can consume. If you eat let's say one of those containers of raspberries, that's not like 2 sides to it, but just one side, it's an actual little square. That 6-ounce container of raspberries has 11 grams of fiber in it. It's amazing. 3 tablespoons of organic chia seeds also has 11 grams of fiber, but those chia seeds are more calorically dense than the raspberries. So I'm pretty sure raspberries, bang for buck for caloric density, you're not going to eat any food on the planet that has more fiber than raspberries, which is one of the reasons I love them. I also like to use organic psyllium husk for fiber. I like to eat organic apples, although those don't have as much fiber as berries for sure. What else do I like for fiber? Oh, I love to consume, this is kind of a new treat that I talk about. I'm going to have these guys sponsor the podcast. I love RX Sugar Swelthy Snacks Bars. Okay. Swelthy, like SWEALTHY, snacks, SNAX. And I'll put a link below these because I really, really genuinely love those bars. They're only 80 calories and they have 8 grams of fiber, which is so awesome. So I eat one of those almost every day simply because it's a really good way to get my fiber stores topped off if I haven't consumed enough fiber in the day. And then we get fiber from all sorts of other ways. Like I love consuming edamame for fiber. I love consuming organic beans, organic lentils. That has a lot of fiber in it. Really, I want you to think about fiber as the primary way that you're going to consume carbohydrates. You know, there's fiber in lots of different fruits and vegetables. Some fruits rather have very little fiber, and I don't recommend those fruits as much because they're going to give you more of a blood sugar response. Anytime we have a lot of fiber, it's going to slow down and blunt the blood sugar response when we consume those fibrous foods. Okay. So going back to how we're losing body fat. I mean, fiber is one of them. That's why I got on this topic of fiber. So I already talked about that you're going to consume the protein. I already talked about you're going to reduce the carbs. And then I talked about when you're having carbs, you're really going to be focusing on fiber. Then the other thing that you're going to do is instead of stuffing your face like you've probably grown up doing with lots and lots of carbohydrates, from the bagels to the toast, to the cereals, to the cookies, to the crackers, to the chips, to the brownies, to the nachos, to the pizzas, you name it, guys. All this stuff is gorging our body with carbs, and it's not doing our metabolic health any favors, especially for the things I just identified that are comprised largely of carbs and fat. Because why? Remember, when we eat carbs and fat together, especially when we eat them together in the absence of protein and fiber, meaning there isn't much protein and there isn't much or any fiber, all you're going to do is put that on as body fat. So that's going to mean things like chips. And I have all of these people that either DM me on Instagram. I even have clients ask me this. They're like, okay, Kristin, but wait. Siete came out with these avocado oil chips. So those are better, right? Those are better, avocado oil chips. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess, but there's certainly not a fat loss strategy. There's certainly not a way for you to start planning your meals if you want to lose fat. I mean, I'll buy those once in a blue moon if I'm maybe going to have friends over and I want to be able to offer them some like chips and salsa or chips and guac. And I'm going to then make sure the bag is gone, or I'm going to throw the bag away or give it to some sort of food shelf. I don't want that kind of stuff around in my house because I don't trust myself with it. Do you know how easy it is to eat more than a serving of a delicious lime Siete tortilla chip? Okay. Have you tried to eat just a serving? It's hard. They're addicting. And all they are, you guys, is carbs and fat together. There's no protein in those chips and there's no fiber in those chips. So what is that food doing? What are those two substrates doing together? Carbs and fat together are allowing your body to put on body fat. You are literally sending the signal to your body, store fat, store fat, store fat. And I thought what we're talking about this episode is how we lose body fat and gain muscle. So we're not going to eat carbs and fat together. I feel like I beat a dead horse about that so much, but it can't be said enough because people often get duped by marketing. Okay. Just because, and I bought these just to try them so I could report to people, just because Vandy's came out with an amazing chip made with grass-fed beef tallow, like good for them. That's awesome. And they're delicious and I tried them, but there isn't nutrient density in that food. You would be way better off eating a full baked potato and putting some grass-fed beef tallow on it because you're getting all that potassium, you're getting all that fiber. You're actually eating volume for way less calories and you'll get full. You're never going to sit down to 12 baked potatoes. And if you are, please send my team an email because I'd like to interview you because there's no way you're eating 12 baked potatoes and don't have some sort of metabolic health dysfunction. 12 baked potatoes is going to make you so full you can't see straight. But you could easily eat your body weight in Vandy's chips times 10. I know I could. Because they're delicious. Same with masa chips. Wow. They're organic, non-GMO corn. They've got grass-fed beef tallow. Great, guys. But do you want to lose weight? Then why are we eating that as if that's part of our meal? Now, I will tell you, I bought that stuff and I ate it where I would weigh out one serving. I would eat a full meal of like tuna, beans, celery, sauerkraut, and I might use a few of the chips to dip that in, like to use it as a scooper. And even after I eat that, I then go walk the dogs for at least 20 minutes or more because that carbohydrate and fat combo is it's still providing straight carbs, basically with also some healthy fat, but it's still providing straight carbs. And that's going to have an impact on your blood sugar, especially if you sit there and eat multiple servings, which I know most people do. And especially if they eat them plain and not do what I just did, which was to have tuna, beans, sauerkraut, celery. Like that's the way to do it if you're going to eat stuff like that. So I digress, but I just want to make sure as you're thinking about your healthy fats and what I'm going to get to next, which is your carefully add carbs, which I always talk about, that you're not duped by a lot of this fancy marketing that is causing you to eat something that's going to be detrimental to your metabolic health. So what I want you to think about on this topic as we continue to go into how we lose fat is I want you to look at the nutritional information on the actual package. If the nutrients, like let's say you see 150 calories, 170 calories, 200 calories, 130 calories, whatever it is, if those calories come from fat and carbs, that food, if you're not eating protein with it, if you're not eating something else with fiber with it, that food itself, especially if you eat it by itself, is most likely going to be put on your body as body fat. unless you're running 10 miles a day, unless you just got done with a huge lift and you're trying to put some quick carbs in your body for muscle gain and you don't have a lot of body fat on your body, and you're going to use that and then go on a walk, like that might work. But otherwise, you guys, I want you to think of the carbs and fat together. It's going to help your body gain fat. Okay. I'll get off my soapbox about that now. So if we eat low carb long enough during the day, and if we stop stuffing our face at, let's say, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, at some point during the middle of the night, once our blood sugar gets low enough and it's like, alert, 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 blood sugar's getting below a teaspoon, then your pancreas is like, oh, okay, it's okay, guys. I got it. I'm going to release glucagon, because glucagon is going to go into our fat stores. It's going to go in to get those triglycerides, which, as you recall, if you watched my episode, How We Get Fat, it's going to go and pull the triglycerides apart. Remember, triglycerides is 3 fatty acids, tricycle, triangle, 3, tied to a glycerol molecule. This is a triglyceride. It's going to pull those apart. It's going to grab that glycerol molecule, and it's going to put your blood sugar back up to 1 teaspoon where it feels best and where you're regulated and where you don't have hypoglycemia or any kind of diabetes situation, right? We want to keep our blood sugar regulated at a teaspoon. So if we eat low carb, if we then stop eating at a certain time, then during the middle of the night, that's what's going to happen. And so you start to get in to this fat burning state, right? Part of the reason I have so much success with my clients is I'm designing meal plans for them in a way that allows them to consume their 30 grams of protein at each meal, 30, 35, 40. For some of the men that I work with, they're eating 50 or 60 in a meal, depending on how tall and how much weight they have. You know, they could be a bigger guy, and then they need to eat a lot more protein in one sitting, but they're getting their protein in one sitting. And then the other fuel substrate that they're eating, or rather the fuel substrate, I should say, because protein isn't a fuel that we store. We only store carbs and fat. They're getting fat because that's going like avocado, like walnuts, like olives, like olive oil, like avocado oil, like pesto, like butter, like ghee, like beef tallow. I mean, you name it. I could list, lots and lots of different fats for you. It may even be the fat that's part of a ribeye or, heavier salmon. But those fats combined with the protein are going to allow their bodies to feel satiated. Especially if we pair it with fiber, you're going to feel satiated. You're not going to want to snack. You're going to be mentally acute. You're going to have a lot of energy. And especially when you're drinking all your water with electrolytes, and I'll do a whole nother episode about water and electrolytes, don't worry. You're going to then feel so good while you're also losing fat. Now we move over into the gaining muscle standpoint, and we're supporting our muscles with all of that awesome protein, going back to how I got all that muscle put on my body during my bodybuilding days. And then we're also strength training, and we're doing 2 intense workouts at somewhere like Discover Strength twice a week, where we're lifting all the way to momentary muscle failure, and we're actually exhausting and taxing the muscles in a way that they create inflammation in them so that they can build up bigger. And you now have a magic formula. We're literally taking fat down and we're gaining muscle at the same time. And I have shared in very many places before, but I haven't shared here. I want you guys to just see. I have so many before and after bod pods and before and after DEXA scans. I'm just going to run through a number of these where it's losing fat, gaining muscle, losing fat, gaining muscle. This fat is over on the left-hand side. So you can see it's fat coming down to your left, and then it's muscle going up on the right-hand side. So it's losing fat, gaining muscle, losing fat, gaining muscle. And look at these. I have result after result after result. It's so rewarding for me to be able to help clients do this. I just love it. I really love it. And the reality is I'm able to do it because I did it for myself first. That's how we're supposed to serve in this world. On a total different note, and like going on a tangent, because I always say sidebar, we literally, you guys, are here to show up and serve others in our purpose based on the lessons that we have learned throughout our lifetime. So just one of the big lessons I've learned was how I got ready for bodybuilding shows and lost fat and gained muscle at the same time. I was like, wow, this is absolutely possible. And then I started to hone my method, play with my own body over time, and really started to play in my business with clients. And I was successful with client after client, and my business just grew by way of referrals. So this is why I love doing this. And I love helping people understand that you can do this too. Now, if you're looking for one-on-one personalized support, of course, I would love to support you. You can always go on my website and apply to work with me. I do not take everyone that applies to work with me, but if you are someone who's ready for this one-on-one personalized support, I would of course love to support you if we figure out that we're a good fit to work together. And then I do offer, if my one-on-one coaching, if we determine we're not the right fit for each other for that, I do offer plenty of other courses, and I'll be announcing those both here on the podcast and on my social media over time, so you can follow along there. So to wrap up this episode on how we lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, I always say it really comes down to the magic of the macros. So I want you to eat 3, most likely 4 times a day to begin. You're going to have at least 30 grams of protein in each meal. You're going to round that out with some healthy fats, like a serving of healthy fats. And then whatever carbs you have in that meal, you're going to try to make sure there's certain carbs that have fiber. You know, I often will have promotional deals where I will sell customized meal plans that I've created that are either 3 months of meal plans or 6 months of meal plans. So please look for those, because I've baked all of this into there. And then it's like, okay, that's way easier, Kristin. Now I at least have a guide to follow as I learn this. I talk with my clients all the time about what they're really learning with me is experiential learning. They are following the meal plans that I create for them. And as they're doing it, they're like, oh, I never thought to put this food with this food. I never thought to make a tuna salad in this way and then eat it with pork rinds instead of chips or crackers. Or I never thought to like make a chia seed pudding this way and add protein powder to it, or make this kind of protein smoothie, or put those ingredients together for a dinner. And it's so rewarding for them, because then they have this whole big repertoire of foods. And I get clients comment to me all the time. They're like, I can't believe my kid likes this. Like, oh my God, my 7-year-old is like asking me for chicken thigh. What the heck? I had never even had chicken thigh until I started working with you. So it's really fun for me to be able to not only help get my clients healthy, but also their entire family healthy, which is awesome. So to summarize what we talked about today, just in terms of how we lose fat and gain muscle, we're going to eat about 4 times a day, 3 if you really enjoy intermittent fasting. We're going to have over 30 grams of protein at each meal. We're going to make sure we're rounding out that meal with healthy fat. We're going to add in some really good fiber. So this may be from whatever vegetable you decide to pair with that meal. It may be in the form of chia seeds or raspberries or psyllium husk, or you may have a fiber bar at the end of your meal. And then we're also going to make sure that, I think I said the healthy fat, but that we have that fiber as the carbohydrate. And if we're going to add other kinds of carbohydrates in the forms of chips or crackers or a banana or anything else, that we try to eat that at the end of the meal, or at a minimum, if it's like a banana that's wrapped up in our smoothie, that we go on a walk for at least 20 minutes after we eat that meal to minimize any blood sugar impact. And then of course, last but certainly not least, we're going to intensely strength train twice per week in order to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, to give the tissue the signaling that it needs to be able to convert that body fat into lean muscle tissue, so that you can be strong, so that you can age well, and you can support all aspects of your metabolic health. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Energetically Efficient Show. I loved having you. I'm so grateful that you're part of my community, and I can't wait until we are together again very soon. Thank you so much.